What's going on, gangsters? Gregory Scott here, making gains. Hello to all my beautiful gains brothers and sisters out there. So real quick before I get into this video, I just want to start off by saying thank you. I want to thank all of you who are out there watching the video, liking the videos, and just taking steps to become a stronger version of yourself. That's the whole reason why I do this, so that somebody can go on that fitness journey, so somebody can possibly, turn their life around with fitness, because that's what it did for me. So everybody that's taking steps to better themselves, I appreciate it. I'm going to keep making these videos, and I just want all of us to get started together. So again, from the bottom of my heart, thank you. Alright, had to make those appreciation gains real quick for all you guys. Now we're going to go into one of the best type of gains there is, if not the best, and that's calisthenic gains. So last week we talked about mastering the basics and how that's so important if you want to progress, if you want to move to that next level. So this video we're going to talk about something that kind of ties directly into that, and that's supersets and circuits and how that can affect your training. So you've no doubt probably heard these terms before, but maybe you weren't sure about them. So today we're really going to dig deep, get to the bottom of it, and it's going to be gainful. So today we're talking about supersets and circuits. Alright, so first let's look at exactly what is a superset, and then we'll look at why it can be beneficial for your training. Okay, so a superset is nothing complex, nothing crazy. All it is doing 2 exercises back to back with no rest in between. Okay, so if you did push-ups, didn't rest in between, did 5 pull-ups, that'd be superset. If you did 10 squats, superset 5 pull-ups, that just means you're doing the squats, no rest in between, doing the pull-ups. So if you ever see that written, or if that's ever in your workout program, do this exercise superset with this exercise, all that means is you're doing one exercise, you're not resting, and you're going right into the next one. So that's a superset. Alright, so a circuit, it's the same concept, it's nothing crazy complex. All it is 3 or more exercises done back to back to back with no rest in between. So you could do 3 exercises, you could do 5 exercises, you could do a beast mode circuit and have 8 exercises, it's all the same. So an example, so say we're doing 5 push-ups directly into 5 pull-ups, directly into 5 dips. That's a good strength circuit for you. You could do 5 pull-ups into 10 squats, into a 10-second L-sit hold, into another 10 push-ups. That's the circuit for you. So all it is 3 exercises done back to back to back with no rest in between. So last thing we'll look at is single sets. So single sets are going to be the most common thing you'll see going into a gym or looking at somebody that's beginner or just getting fitness or calisthenics. Single sets is nothing crazy complex. All it is you do 1 set of the exercise and then you rest. So you do, say you can do 8 push-ups. You'll do 8 push-ups, then you rest for 3, 4, 5 minutes. Or if you're doing a plank hold, you'll do a 30-second plank hold, then you'll rest 3, 4, 5 minutes. So no back-to-back, no circuits, it's just doing 1 single set, just like the name says. Alright, so now that we understand those 3 basic concepts, we have our single sets, our supersets, and our circuits. I'll give you my strong recommendation, and it's this. If you're a beginner, if you're an intermediate, if you're somebody that's just getting in calisthenics, you can still do your single sets, that's fine. But at some point, you need to start implementing those supersets and you need to start implementing those circuits to your training. Also, quickly, let me say this. I'm not saying that single sets are bad. That's the complete opposite of what I'm saying. Single sets are amazing. I do them all the time. I'm just saying that there's a certain time and place and a certain level that you can get to where single sets are going to be the most effective. And if you're a beginner, if you're an intermediate, if you're somebody that's just getting in calisthenics, if you're not doing those supersets, if you're not doing those circuits, you're missing out on the huge benefits of it. So I'm not saying single sets are bad, but I'm just saying until you get to that point where you can get the most effectiveness out of them, you need to be doing supersets and circuits. So we're going to get into the pros and cons of each and why certain sets are more effective than the others at certain times, but real quick I just want to give you some advice and some insight into my training when I first started calisthenics, the good old days. So when I first started training, it was like some Dragon Ball Z One Punch Man type deal, whichever one you like better. I like One Punch Man, so I'm going to go with that. So I was like One Punch Man. I was just doing supersets, Circuit City all day. I was doing exercise back to back to back to back with little rest in between the sets. I would just go into failure every single set. Like, it was crazy. And looking back, this wasn't the optimal or the smartest way to train, but I still got gains from it. And I got gains from it because I upped the intensity, I pushed myself, and I went out of my comfort zone. So what I'm getting at here is that if you're a beginner, if you're an intermediate, you're not going to know that much about programming. You're not going to know that much about rest times. You're not going to know exactly how many reps and sets you're going to do. And I'm telling you, it doesn't have to be perfect. As you keep training, as you get smarter, as you learn more about programming and the body and rest times and adenosine triphosphate stores and glycogen, all this stuff, then you can start to make adjustments to your training. But in the beginning, it's not going to be perfect. So don't get wrapped up in, oh, I can't start because I don't know how many reps I should do. This is confusing. This is too confusing. I don't know what to do. Don't get wrapped up in that. The most important thing that I did and the most important thing that you can do is simply just turn up the intensity, push yourself, and go out of your comfort zone. All right, so now that we're smarter, we have all this new gains information to internalize. I'm actually going to show you each set, the single set, superset, circuit, and talk about the pros and cons of each. So let's get to it. All right, so we're going to look at 3 different scenarios. We have 3 different people. We have Billy, Shaquita, and Tyrone. All right, so they're all at the same strength level and they all want to work their chest and triceps. Okay, so Billy, he's going to do the single set. Shaquita, she's going to do superset, and Tyrone is going to do the circuit. All right, so we're going to look at the pros and cons of each, when is appropriate, what are the benefits of single sets versus supersets versus circuits. All right, so first up is Billy with the single set. All right, so Billy, he can do 10 push-ups and he can do 8 dips. Those are his maxes. All right, so here's some real quick bonus gains for you guys. So if you have your maxes, if he can do 10 push-ups and 8 dips, he's not going to do that for his working sets. So he might be able to get those 10 reps and those 8 dips on his first set, but then when he goes to the next set, since he already maxed out, he's not going to be able to get it. So we want to have our sub-maximal working sets. So if he can get 10 push-ups, his working set is going to be about 8 reps. If he can do 8 dips, then his working set is going to be about 6. And we want to be able to consistently hit those numbers for about 4 to 5 sets. Okay? So Billy's gonna do 8 push-ups, he's gonna do 6 dips. All right, so here's Billy with the single set. He can do max 10 push-ups, so we're gonna hit a sub-maximal set of 8 reps. All right, 8 reps, let's get it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Good form, of course. All right, so now if I'm Billy, I'm gonna rest 3, 4, 5 minutes, then I'll hit another 8 set of push-ups again. And I'm gonna do that for anywhere between 4 to 6 reps, or 4 to 6 sets. All right, so Billy finished 4 to 6 sets of the push-ups. Now we're gonna do our dips. All right, so his max is 8, so he's gonna do a sub-maximal set of about 6. All right, here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right, so now I'm done. Now I'm just gonna rest 3, 4, 5 minutes until I hit the next set. We're gonna do that again, another 4 to 6 times. All right, so now let's look at the pros and cons of the strength set. So one thing we notice is that it's a lot of waiting around. So the work is relatively short. You know, we have a couple of reps where we have a hold, and then we're resting for 3 to 4 to 5 minutes. So that can get pretty time consuming if you're doing 4 to 5 to 6 reps. So I did all my push-ups. That's already 20, 25 minutes of resting. Then I'm gonna go do the same thing for the dips. We do 5 sets of the dips, you know, that's another 25 minutes. So it's a lot of waiting around, it's a lot of resting. So also one other thing we might have noticed is that the work didn't seem that intense. You know, I was just doing the sets. You know, for some people it might be a little bit harder, but after you finish that set, you're just sitting there like, oh wow, I have 5 minutes to rest. So this goes into what I was talking about earlier about how there's a certain time, a place, and a certain level you need to be at before you're doing those single sets, before you're doing those strength sets. So what this means is for those single sets and for those strength sets, we need to turn the intensity up way high. And oftentimes for beginners, some of the just getting calisthenics, we're simply not there yet. We need to earn that 5-minute rest, that 4 or 5 minute rest. We need to be challenging ourselves. We need to actually do something that's gonna warrant us taking that long of a break. So if you're a beginner and you can only do a couple push-ups, a couple pulls, a couple dips, that's completely fine, you know, that's where you're at. But you know, there's more you could be doing. If you're just doing a set and then resting, there's so much energy that you're leaving on the table. Like, trust me, there's so much more that you can give. So if you're doing those single sets, that's when you start to get into stuff like planches and back levers and handstand push-ups and muscle-ups and weighted dips and weighted pull-ups, all that kind of stuff. But until you're there yet, there's so much more that you can do. There's so much more energy you have on the table. So you know me by now, I'm always talking about turning up the intensity. So if you're a beginner and you can only do a few push-ups, a few pull-ups, a few dips, and you're saying, that's all I can do right now. No, there's so much more you can do. You can turn up that intensity, and that's when we start to get into supersets and circuits. So let's look at that next. All right, so now we have Shaquita with the superset. So remember, superset is just 2 exercises back to back with no rest in between. So she can do 10 push-ups, so we're gonna hit about 8, and she can do 8 dips, so we're gonna hit about 6. All right, so let's look at it. All right, no rest in between, going right into those dips. All right, then we'd rest for a good 4 or 5 minutes and hit that set 4, 5, 6 more times. So now with supersets, we can see that things are starting to step up a little bit. So after we did that first exercise, instead of resting, you know, our heart rate gets up when we're tired, but instead of resting, we're going directly into another exercise. So while we're tired, we're having to keep our form focused and push through. Another benefit of this is that instead of doing all the sets of the push-ups and all the sets of the triceps, you know, set after set after set after set, then set after set after set after set, we're doing them both together. So now the workout is more intense and we cut our workout time in half. Who's gonna make the most gains? So lastly, to finish things off, we're gonna look at circuits now. So remember, circuits are doing exercises all back to back to back to back with no rest in between. All right, so now Tyrone, he's gonna go beast mode and he's gonna hit a circuit. All right, so let's see how that looks. So then we'd rest for 4 or 5 minutes, hit that 4, 5, 6 more times. All right, so now with the circuits, you can see they're really starting to turn up the intensity, really peel back those layers of strength and really build a strong solid foundation and get in lots of work. So compared doing those 5 exercises that we just did all the way to a single set where we only did 1 exercise, or even to a superset where we only did 2 exercises. From a time and efficiency standpoint, even just doing 3 sets of the circuit is already going to be more work than both the supersets and the single sets. Also, way more volume. We did 5 exercises. If we do 3 sets of that, that's already 15 total sets. Now compare that to the single set or even supersets. So obviously we can start to see that if you're a beginner, if you're an intermediate just getting in calisthenics, circuits are going to be the best for you to build that foundation, really nail on those basics, really learn to turn up the intensity and push through those movements even when you're tired. Also, for the very first time, you can see that we exceeded our max reps that we could do. We could only do 10 push-ups, but with the circuits, since we're going back and forth between exercises, we're giving our muscles a chance to recover and we're getting a chance to hit it again. So tons more volume, more time efficient, more work, turns up the intensity. Circuits are the way to go for beginners. All right, so I really hope I've started to nail it in by now. That your intensity, that's going to be the only factor, or it's going to be the main factor in determining the results that you want. You know, it's going to depend on if you can go out of your comfort zone, if you can push the pace. 2 people can start calisthenics at the same exact time. 1 person can start out doing single sets, 1 person can start out doing circuits, and this guy, he's gonna pass this guy way up. So don't get me wrong, this guy's still gonna be making gains. They're still both gonna be moving forward, but this guy's gonna move forward at a way faster rate. And I'm not saying that you have to go out and kill yourself, but I mean, it all depends on how bad you want it. You know, people, they ask, how do you get shredded? How do you do these advanced movements? You just got to put in the work. So your intensity, that's going to determine what kind of gains that you get. So basically, I'm saying you can build good strength with single sets. You can do it. It'll be slower than if you're doing those supersets and circuits, but you can still do it. So if you want to turn up the intensity, if you want to go to that next level, then superset circuits, at least in the beginning. Then as you progress, you know, you start to get better, you start to learn more, you can change your programming up. My camera died if you're wondering why I teleported, but I know this is a lot of information to throw at you at first, you know, and I know you're gonna have a lot more questions like, what muscles group should I superset? How many supersets should I do? How many exercises should I put in my circuit? You know, stuff like that. All these questions are gonna pop up, but just remember what I said. So in the beginning, your programming, it doesn't have to be perfect at all. You know, as you stay consistent, as you learn more and more, all that stuff is gonna get tighter. But as a beginner, the main thing that you can do, or an intermediate, somebody that's just getting in calisthenics, the main thing you can do is just push yourself. Continue to go out of your comfort zone, continue to make everything more challenging. If it ever gets too easy, make it more challenging, okay? And we're gonna go over all this stuff. We're gonna go over, you know, sets and reps. We're gonna go more in depth with it. We're gonna look at, you know, rest times, why rest times are important, all this kind of stuff. But for now, we're just gonna keep making gains, we're gonna keep moving forward, and we're just gonna get better together one day at a time. So if you learned something in this video, make sure to like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what you want to see next, and as always, have a gameful day. Lost in the name of gains, but never forgotten. Rest in peace.